Welcome to Enlightened Game with Slim Sir, as he takes the lessons he learned from the streets, commonly known as the game, and applies them to everyday life, helping everyday people win the game of life, focusing on relationships, money, and the winner's lifestyle. This podcast will turn any chump into a champ. So if you're ready, let the game begin. And now, your host, the most valuable player himself, Slim Sir.
Thank you for joining me. I am your host, Slim Sir, and this is my audio notebook. This is where I put down all of my thoughts about life, about current events, but mostly about the game. What we call the game, this body of knowledge that exists that I swear by and I stand on as a man. First, I'd like to thank you for taking out the time of your busy schedule to sit down for a few minutes and listening and reasoning with me on the importance of manhood. Now, when you hear the term mack or macking, I want it to be very, very clear that that term, that name, is just a glorified way of describing raw manhood, manhood at its core. You see, us as black people, we have a habit or custom and a tradition of, renaming things. And manhood, the system of manhood, by us was renamed macking. And that's because, we're just a cool people. Just think about it like that. So macking is not an offensive term, because a mack, a true mack, is the ultimate gentleman. A true mack respects women. So don't be put off by the term mack. There are many people who misuse the term, but the purpose of this podcast and the reason, my purpose for being, is to make a clear distinction between what is real and what is fake. And I want to teach you real manhood. And we describe and we name that macking. Now, if you don't like that term, you don't have to use it. It's manhood, and that's okay to use. But for the street people that come from the game, all types of game, we understand what a mack is. And most of us have great, positive, powerful images in our minds of a mack. And so it is, we have an inclination towards expressing truth in that way. Anyway, what is the importance of being a man or a mack? Why do I teach this? And why have I committed my life to teaching this? First of all, I'm going to tell you why I started teaching this. For most of my life, I was just a complete loser. I know you probably don't want to hear that, right? Especially if you think that you're going to come and hear some, what we think is some game or some pimping or whatever. But I got to be honest with you. I've had a lot of successful moments, like in the life. But to be honest with you, I had ups and downs, and that's the reality of things. That's the truth. It is what it is. But my life started to change as soon as I got introduced to this information. My father died, and when my father died, I was lost. I'm not going to lie to you, man. If you read my book, Still Standing, I tell you the whole story. And I remember calling my friend Derek one day, and I was with one question in my mind. I was like, "Yo, how do I become a man?" And he gave me some guidance that day, but we didn't have a clear definition of what manhood was, and that made me realize that, excuse me, at that point, that for a black man, there was no clear system of how to be a man. And that was very, very important to me as a person. I didn't know where to go look for this. I looked everywhere. I read every book I could on manhood, on pimping, on whatever I could find. And mostly what I found was a whole bunch of titles and YouTube videos, and nobody really had the real ism. Now, mind you, I was doing my thing for many, many years, and as I look back, I realized I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I guess I was lucky to keep it all the way real with you. When dealing with all those women that I was dealing with, I didn't really have any structure or system. Anyway, what's the importance of all of this? Why should we know all of these things? Well, if you were born a male, if you were born with a penis, then the purpose of your life is to become a man. That's the purpose of our life. Now, you may have a plan on, things that you want to do in terms of accomplishments, but the purpose of your life is to become a man. You have to become a man first. And so, if being born a male and the purpose of our life is to become a, it only makes sense that we have a system that will help us to become a man. Why? Because it's your purpose. This is where you fit in nature. You fit in nature as a man, and if you go into nature as anything else, you go into nature lower than what you should be. I want you to think about this. Picture this in your mind. There's a dog, right? And this dog doesn't believe that it's a dog, doesn't know that it's a dog. It thinks that it's a cat. Look at how foolish that is, right? For a dog to be walking around thinking and behaving like a cat. That's how foolish we are when we walk around thinking and behaving that we're gangsters, or thinking and behaving that we're pimps, or thinking and behaving that we're anything other than what we really are, which is men. Now, a lot of people don't understand the value and the importance and the magnitude of the title of man. Now, I want you to think about this. If you're religiously inclined, you will know that when God created man, he created him in his own image and likeness. This means that a man is God-like. This means that you have tremendous value. Also, according to that same scripture, man was given dominion over everything. He was given authority, rulership, power over everything. Basically, in other words, man was made the manager of the entire planet. This should teach you how valuable you are. But just because you are born a male doesn't qualify you as a good manager. You have to be taught and trained how to be a good manager. A manager of not only of the world, but a manager of your world and the world of your woman or women and family. This is the importance of being a man. That if the man is being a man and has a clear system of learning how to become a man and becoming a quality man, he is able to now manage his world and his family. However, without a clear system, he cannot become a man. And if man is the manager of the world and the man is messed up, this is clear proof why the world is messed up right now. Because the man does not know who he is and has not assumed his proper place as the manager of his own world. Now, let me prove to you that a lot of times we see brothers and their lives are messed up. And instead of being the man and God of their own life, they point the finger at someone or something else. And whenever you point the finger at somebody else, you're giving up your manhood. You are giving away your responsibility. Your life, your world is your responsibility. You are the manager of your world. I want you to think about that. And so if you are the manager of your world, it's your responsibility how your life turns out. Now, I understand that we have a lot of justifiable anger towards white people in America and in the Western Hemisphere and in the world for that matter. But as men, we may have this anger, but we are not guided by this anger. We must direct and organize our anger and assume responsibility for taking back control of our own lives and our own world. And that is a very important key of manhood. We could never and will never be men until we can manage ourselves and effectively manage our families and our communities. It's time as men, right, that we have our own, because we're in a system right now. We're at the bottom of their system, and they treat us like we're enemies, like we are bad, right? I want you to think about that. So it doesn't make any sense to complain about a system that has no intention of giving you justice. That is not a manly thing. To complain is not a manly characteristic. To be a complainer is not a manly trait. So what is the solution? The solution is we have to organize and go build our own system. Now, how does this apply to why manhood is important? Because the solution to our problem, if we want to stop being killed by white police officers and by the entire system for that matter, we have to stop complaining and go build our own. And that takes manhood, right? And that means that we need a system and a process of manufacturing men. Okay? We need to be able to manufacture men like car factories manufacture vehicles. And the Max Bible is that system and process by which we intend to manufacture men who manage their own lives, families, and communities. My time is up, but I would encourage you to go to slimsir.com and purchase your copy of the Max Bible for $14, and please support this podcast and my IG. Go to Instagram and follow me at The Real Slim Sir, and share and like this podcast. Thank you so much for listening. See you next time. Peace.